To the
Recording in progress.
freshman cohort meeting. So to introduce myself, my name is Shannon Kerr. I'm the new pre-Healthways Path Advisor. I'll be working with a lot of you in the next upcoming years and stuff like that. I'm going to be focused mostly on the sophomores and the juniors. With me today, I've got Erin Colburn, who many of you have met. Ian Taylor, Jennifer Nguyen, both of peer advisors, and then Taylor Willis is our OT on staff. Do you want to introduce yourself or just get started?
So yeah, it's good to see everybody. I hope your semester is going really, really well. I am going to take a back seat tonight and let you guys learn from some really great folks here today in your next steps towards wanting to go to your professional school goals.
All righty. So I'm sure you're wondering, why do I have to look for a ton of schools? I really want to go to a certain medical school, dental school, veterinary school. But it is really important that you kind of cast a wide net, as it's not meant to be a bad thing when I say this, but it is tough to get into professional school. And it's important that you make sure you set up the correct coursework and meet the correct requirements eligible to apply to all the schools you're interested in, because each one's going to have a different sort of requirement that it takes.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, so this is kind of a little rundown on what you should pay attention to while you're looking at your schools. So it's different for every pre-health pathway, but generally you'll be looking at the same thing. So first is residency. A lot of students I feel don't pay attention to this much, but I think it makes a huge difference. So paying attention to residency, such as the acceptance rate for that school, such as the percentage for in-state or out-of-state applicants. Sometimes you'll see a huge percentage, so big difference. And so that might influence what schools you want to apply to. And then second is obviously the prerequisites. So what is the coursework, admissions exam, for example, PT, OT, you might be looking at GRE exam. So that's an example. And other prereqs for your program might require volunteer or experience or volunteer hours. For example, pre-PA students will be looking to that as well. So this is something you want to pay attention to so that you can be prepared, complete all of the necessary coursework before you apply. Third is location. This is just for you. For example, you might be only wanting to look at schools in Idaho. And so whatever makes sense to you, wherever you want to go to school, that is your preference. And then lastly is costs and other requirements your program require.
So luckily we kind of have built a sheet for you guys to look at in regards to looking for your schools, kind of regardless of the programs you're interested in going to. It should be in this PowerPoint, and we will share it with you guys after this cohort meeting is over. But, in regards to these websites, an important thing is to kind of use more of the database depending on the programs you're interested in going to, and not necessarily just Googling what your school requires. That might not be entirely accurate.
Okay, so this page looks very, very overwhelming, and boom, it's all the websites for all the pre-health pathways that you're looking into. Erin just pasted a Google Doc with the sheet that includes all of the websites that you can take a look at. So obviously you don't have to look at all of these. You can pay attention to the ones pertaining to your pathway. These are just websites that can help you learn more about your pathway or to actually search up your professional schools. So these are some websites we'd recommend for you to take a look at.
So we'll give you a general rundown of some of the more popular pre-professional pathways that we have here. So we'll start off with med, both for allopathic and osteopathic pathways. So for people who are wanting to pursue a degree, an MD degree, Your best friend's going to be the AAMC, the American Association of Medical Colleges. With this website, they have a database that essentially covers all of the medical schools in the U.S. and around the world, and that is called the Medical School Admissions Requirements, or as I usually refer to it as the MSAR. And also, I thought I would touch on this. It is a little early for most of you since you are freshmen, but the AMCAS, that is the application service for MD programs. In this PowerPoint, I include some important links like the anatomy of an applicant, which essentially goes over the core competencies that medical schools and really all pre-professional schools are looking for in their students. Also a link to the MSAR as well as the AAMC's YouTube. For osteopathic schools, it's very similar. They have their own website as well as a database and application service. So for them, it is the Choose DO and the AACOM. And the Choose DO Explorer is kind of the equivalent of the MSAR with the ACOMAS as the application service there. So for people wanting to pursue dental and veterinary pathways, again, it's very similar to how the med schools kind of have it set up. With dental, we have the American Dental Education Association, and their database system's a little different. They instead have a map of the United States where you can click on the specific schools and states you may be interested in going to. And then they also have the central application service there for them. For veterinary, again, it's going to have the American Association of Veterinary Medical Colleges, along with the VMSAR, which again is that big database of all of the schools in the US and around the world. And then also the VMCAS, which again is that application service.
Okay, so I'll be walking you through pre-PT and pre-OT websites that we really recommend for students who are following these pathways. I'll kind of be walking through what each website has to offer and what tools it has. I think these websites are very, very easy to navigate around, and they're going to be your best friend when looking at schools. So I highly recommend you to explore these when you have time so you can learn how to explore and navigate around these websites. So for PT, the first is APTA, which is the American Physical Therapy Association. This website helps to provide information, more information about physical therapists or physical therapist assistants. So just more about the career in general, if you wanted to take a look at that. And the next website is more focused on looking at PT schools. So this is PT-CAS, which is the Physical Therapist Centralized Application Service. And what's nice about this website is that you can use one application to apply to numerous DPT or Doctor of Physical Therapy programs. So I think that's a great advantage for you to just be able to put it all in one application. And this website helps you to determine if you're eligible as an applicant when you're at applying to these programs that you're looking into. And PTCAS also provides information on certain program course prereqs, deadlines, by date for the programs, observation and reference requirements, GRE requirements if your school does require that, and then also school-specific questions for that program. Next is and then there is also OT websites as well, as we've included right here. First is AOTA, which is the American Occupational Therapy Association. And this website just provides the latest news about OT and also exam prep resources. So definitely take a look at that if you're in the OT pathway. And then there's also OT-CAS, which is the Occupational Therapist Centralized Application. And this application is used, this application service is for each cycle for OT programs. And this website can help you with the application process overall, such as transcripts, references, test scores, or OT observation hours, and other things you might need to know about your program before you apply. And in the links I've included here are just the YouTube sites for these websites. It's kind of nice to just watch a video instead of reading so much at a time. So I think that'll be helpful for you to take a look at as well. So APTA has one, and so does AOTA. And near the pictures right here, I've just included links or just cookies so that you can find the links to look up schools for each website down there. Okay, next is pre-pharm and pre-PA. First one is AACP, which is the American Association of Colleges of Pharmacy. And this website includes information about the AACP organization itself, information about pre-pharmacy, and resources, research, events, and news relating to pharmacy. And next is PharmCast. So this is the Pharmacy College Application Service. This application service is for pre-pharmacy students and includes application instructions and preparation, and also a school directory for all PharmD programs. And so this is where you'll be looking up your programs right here for pre-pharm. And there is a YouTube site for pre-pharmacy students to utilize, and that's Pharm for Me. So you can definitely take a look at that. And for PA, there is the AAPA, which is the American Academy of Physician Assistants. This website is for you if you want to keep up with all the latest PA news and more information about the physician's assistant career. And then there's the PAEA, which is the Physician Assistant Education Association. And what's cool about this website is it includes a program directory for 292 programs. So you do have all those resources there for you to take a look at. And there's also CASPA, which is the application cycle and deadline for pre-PA students.
Right. So I have actually taken a look at that attendance sheet to see where all the pathways are. And I put everybody with one of the facilitators in the room to help you with this. And we're actually we're not going to look at 6 to 8. We're going to look at 1. But we're going to spend the next 5 minutes in a room together, helping you navigate the website and show you what you can see. So a couple of you are going to hang out with me in the main room as the host, but the rest of you should jump into this breakout room and you guys can go through those professional websites based off of your interest. And I'd like to see you try and find one school based on the criteria that we suggested, the residency, the location, and then go in a little bit deeper and look at their website and kind of start to get familiar with that. So ready, set, go. All right, Wyatt, and I think you go by Luke. Is that right, Andek?
Yeah, it used the wrong account, so I didn't want to switch and
That's
I don't
okay.
know.
So it's Luke, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, it's nice to meet you, Luke. I'm Erin Colburn, one of the pre-health advisors. And so you both, one of you, Wyatt, I think you're pre-dental.
Yes.
Correct? And Luke, you're pre-vet. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay. So what you want to do is for Wyatt, I'm going to put it in the chat for you. You're going to want to go out to the adea.org. And then when you get there, put in the search button. It's at the top, put map. And Luke, you're going to want to put the AAVMC.org. And there is actually a school directory on there. It's the VSMAR. Let me see if I can actually get you the better link to that one.
I found the directory.
Flyschools.org. Yep. So what we want to do is, what I want to share with you guys is you want to take a deep breath. Everybody take a deep breath. Okay, so there's a mountain of information in here. And the key is to not get overwhelmed by it. And what I would suggest that you do is between now and the next 3 months, pick a time and look at one school. and then walk away from it, right? So today we're just going to look at one school. We're just going to kind of get adjusted. We're going to kind of see, okay, how do we do this? So if you got to your maps or you got to your directories, think about, okay, where am I from? So if I'm a state resident of Idaho, the school I probably might want to look at first is Washington State University if I'm vet, or Creighton University if I'm dental. If you're not from that state, think about the state you're from and select from there. Maybe you filter for that. Now, I realize you probably may not want to go to a school in your state, but cost effectively, that's a smart place to start. And secondarily, because a lot of schools will look at you the school will look at you better as a resident from their state. So we're going to use that as a starting place. So if you know where you're from and you kind of know what school you want to look at, find that school based off of those directories. And I think I'm going to make you guys co-hosts so you guys can share your screen if you want. Just for right now, I'll take it off in a little bit. So if you want to share your screens with me, you're more than welcome to do that. The ADA one can be a little confusing, but what I want you to look for is look at admission requirements if it's listed on the ADA website, or the VM. The veterinarian one actually lists out a lot of stuff. It has admission requirements and prerequisites. So tell me what you're seeing.
So I actually, I did talk to you about this probably a year ago. You probably don't remember, but I have my heart pretty much set on Washington State.
Sure.
I'm willing to look at other schools, but I know that their acceptance rate is really high. And I've gotten 3 notes from veterinarians that have recommended that I go. So I know I need that. And
well,
then,
I think the school list hunt is more viable for you to find at least 2 other schools besides WSU and see what they require. Not necessarily that you would necessarily apply to those schools when you get ready. That decision's up to you. So ultimately, this is an opportunity for you to go, okay, what other schools are out there? What are they requiring? Could I build those things into my degree or my pathway so that if I do decide I want to apply to multiple schools to increase my chances of being accepted to a school, then you've completed those prereqs. And that's kind of the purpose behind doing this first, is it gets you acclimated. So if you've already looked at Washington State University, Luke, go look at some of the other ones that you might consider. If you wanted to stay in the Northwest, Oregon State University has a vet school. So does Colorado. Those are really good ones. Midwestern University in Arizona, for example. And again, it's just so you can compare and contrast to see if there's any extra added value to taking maybe some of the prerequisites that may not be on the WSU list. Also, and this is for you too, Wyatt, is that, not every school is going to be shaped the same. They're not all going to require the same things. So one school might require a full year of organic chemistry for you, Luke, and another school like Washington State University will only require a semester. So you kind of have to play that out. Wyatt, for you, there are only probably about 14 medical schools in the US that require calculus. And so if you wanted to avoid that course like the plague, you could. It would depend on your major, and it would depend on a couple other factors. But this is useful tools for you to kind of see. Also, it's nice to get involved in the environment of being connected to schools. So like Aunt Luke, if you have your heart set on WSU, maybe you go out and see if you can become a member of their Facebook page or their social network so that you can get information about them. Washington State University, we're going to try and get them to come and do a Zoom session with us in March. Ross University, which is a Caribbean school in St. Kitts, is actually going to do a presentation in March for sure for vet. University of Utah, Wyatt, is going to probably be able to come in April. University of Washington is actually hosting their Dive into Dentistry Day. And so these are the ways you get connected to some of those things. And so that's what we're trying to do right now, is just give you that opportunity. Wyatt, what did you find?
I'm looking at Oregon Health Sciences University right now.
Yeah. And what kinds of requirements do they have?
I'm just kind of scrolling through right now. Where would that be at? Would that be under programs?
Missions is the best place to look. Mission requirements, some of those things. So if you are on the OHSU website for their dental program, you should be able to look in their menu options for like admissions or
Yeah,
admissions requirements.
I'm on programs and admissions right now.
Okay, so let me do this for you real quick. This is their School of Dentistry, and this is their admissions requirements. So I found that under their DMD program, admission requirements. And then if you scroll through here, you can kind of see, here's the required prerequisite courses. So you could see a full year of general bio, a full year of general chemistry, for example, full year of organic chemistry and physics. And this school also requires a full year of anatomy and physiology, which is not very common for dental schools. So, but that one is required. A semester of biochem, English composition, for example. So you could potentially write all this stuff kind of down and be able to kind of catalog it in one place so that you could find a kind of the symbiotic, okay, these are the schools I want to go to and these are their requirements. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Are all schools basically this format on the
Yes and no. So there are kind of two types of schools out there. There's subjective schools that are very broad with their prerequisite list. So they're like, we would like you to have 30 credits in sciences. And you're like, oh, well, that doesn't help me out. And then there are schools that require very prescriptive prerequisite lists. So for example, they like OHSU on that list, they were very prescriptive. Luke, in terms of veterinary, WSU is very prescriptive. They're like, yep, you have to take all of these things specifically. It's more common for vet schools than it is for dental. Dental is kind of 50-50. There are going to be schools that are like, woo, we just want you to. And then there are going to be schools that are going to be very specific. And you want to track the very specific schools. And for those of you coming back to the room, I'm sure your facilitators suggested that as well, is that you really want to kind of focus on some of those prerequisite courses that are identifiable specifically, because you don't want to miss those opportunities. And I'm going to hand the baton back over to the speakers, but I just wanted to add, 6 to 8 schools is a good place to start, just so that you have a plethora of ideas. It doesn't mean that's how many you're going to apply to. It's really going to be up to you, the individual students, to take charge of that. But if you don't look, you'll never know. And a lot of you asked, one of your big questions on your attendance sheet was, how do I get started looking at schools? Well, this is how you do it. And it is the first step, because it helps your advisors in the room be very cognizant of what your needs are. And then Jennifer, did we get that Google handout done?
Yes, it should be in the drive, but I can find it real quick. No.
Okay, we can put that in the chat for them. We did create a handout for you to try and make it a little easier to be able to do that for sure. And then Shannon, if you want to share your screen again, we can move through to the next kind of step. I hope that was beneficial. I am going to hand the baton off to Ian, Jennifer, and Shannon though. So Shannon, are you back? I think you're on mute still.
Oh yeah, my dogs are barking. Okay. So can you see my screen?
Okay.
Yeah.
I cannot see your, I can't see your screen. We apologize for your wait. While we're waiting, what were some of the big things that you saw? Did everybody find their school of their dreams?
Can you see my screen now?
No, I'm seeing a PT screen. I'm seeing PT Cass.
I can share my screen as well.
Okay.
Yeah, do that because mine's not being.
That's fine. Also, I just pasted the link to the Google Doc for that program application handout. So that's for all of you to use to kind of give a log when you're looking up schools, so you can have all the information in one handout. So that's there for you.
And you can use it or not use it. It's your choice. We just thought it might be easier if you wanted to like kind of go through your schools, you could then put that information in one place. It'd be handy for you to be able to do that with your when you meet with your advisor. So just briefly though, before we move on, was that part helpful to sit down with someone and actually try to actually look some stuff up?
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah, it was very helpful. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Torch bearers. I think it's Taylor.
All right. So that can be a lot. I think you all are kind of a little overwhelmed and can be feeling it, right? Finding those schools, listing all those requirements, figuring out where am I going to go after Boise State? I just got here. That can be a lot. And so sometimes it's nice to take a brain break. I always do these throughout school. We can go to the next slide. But I am Taylor, and I'm currently doing an occupational skills workshop here at Boise State. I'm in my last year of occupational therapy school, so I was in your shoes. And I am focusing around stress management, time management, sleep and rest, health management, and burnout. These big topics that you're going to start feeling throughout college. You might already be feeling them. And so I'm going to be doing these different workshops. And so I wanted to kind of introduce it in this right here, just to kind of give you a glimpse of what I've been doing. And so we're going to go to the beach, right? You don't want to look at your laptop. Let's go to the beach. We're going to do a guided imagery, which is kind of like a mindfulness activity to help relax your bodies as we're kind of tense throughout the day. And so Jennifer, if you just want to click on the link, we'll listen to a short kind of video. You can just get comfortable in your seat, relax, and kind of just enjoy the sweet lady talking. And then I also put my chat in the email, or my email in the chat. That wouldn't work the other way, specifically for Kelsey because she was pre-OT, but now it's to everybody. So if you're interested in the program or curious about OT at all, you definitely can email me as well. The next program is Thursday at 5 p.m. the next Thursday. It's not this Thursday, but the next one. And if you just want to turn the volume up and maybe make it big screen.
Strategy that you can use to help to calm your mind and your body during times of stress. I invite you to place yourself in a relaxed seated position. Close your eyes or avert your gaze to a spot in the room. Take a deep breath in, allowing your natural breath to come through your nostril, throat, and exit your mouth. Just allow yourself to breathe in whatever way is natural for you. Breathing in and out. Noticing the change in temperature of your breath as it enters your nose, hits the back of your throat, and exhales. In and out. I invite you to look and imagine in the distance a wooden pathway with a sandy beach up ahead. You begin to take steps towards the sandy beach, beginning to feel the cool, powdery sand underneath your feet. The smell of salt water begins to fill your nose and lungs, and you feel the warm air of the sun hit the top of your head. You walk ahead and notice in the distance a towel. You might choose to sit down and gaze out into the horizon, noticing how the sun glistens on the top of the water. Beautiful blue and aqua. And you hear the rush of the waves as they crash on the shore and then recede back out to sea. You allow yourself to look far off into the horizon, imagining what's off in the distance, enjoying the sparkle of the sun on the beautiful water, feeling a cool breeze and the warmth of the sun against the top of your head and shoulders. You begin to feel more and more relaxed, more at peace. And taking a deep breath in and exhaling, feeling the sand between your toes. It's soft, soothing. And with another deep breath in, you begin to stand up, taking one last look at the water.
All right. So I put Wyatt to sleep, it looks like. But I'm imagining some tacos, maybe a nice virgin margarita on the beach. That can be really relaxing. So the guided imagery, meditation, there's tons of that stuff on YouTube. Check it out if you're ever feeling stressed, can't sleep, anything like that. They're super cool and really beneficial. There's a lot of research that supports it. So if you want to go to the next slide. And so the main topic, I did this morning, but we talked about stress management, right? Stress happens to everybody. I'm sure as freshmen in college, you guys have felt it, transitioning from home and just having this whole new life and then having to do it over Zoom. I could only imagine. It's a lot. And so it happens to everybody, but it's not all bad, right? It's just a bodily function, right? It's a survival mechanism, fight or flight. That's what stress is. And so short-term stressor, maybe that one test, right? That big test you got coming up, or, oh gosh, I got to pick all my schools for PA school or med school or something like that. That can be a short-term stress. Once you get it done, it's not going to really affect you any much, but long-term stress can really start affecting you when you start feeling those bodily reactions over a long period of time. It can really affect other things. It can affect your digestion, your immune system. It can make you feel sicker, things like that. And so as you kind of are starting on your second semester of freshman year, think about some of your stressors, right? I mean, school, number one, maybe money, maybe Zoom it's a stressor for you. Family, friends, right? Identifying those so that you can better cope to them. And so what's a trigger too? What makes it worse? What makes me super stressed? I'm hangry. I'm always hangry. I'm sure everybody right now is wanting some dinner. And so you might be feeling a little, okay, let's wrap this up, things like that. right? That's going to make maybe stress or different situations feel even worse. And then other coping strategies is finding what works for you, right? I like to go on walks. You might like to do art. You might like to listen to music. You might like to exercise, anything like that. Making sure that you're managing that stress is really important as you guys start heading out into more difficult undergraduate classes, as well as you start in this process of application later in 3 years, or even if you get accepted into your professional program. So if you like the kind of glimpse of that, I'm going to be doing my next one on time management. It is not this Thursday, but next Thursday at 5 o'clock. Put my email in the chat. So let me know if you're interested.
Any of you have questions for Taylor?
Yeah, that video like put me to sleep. Like that was
If
pretty
you
good.
ever can't sleep, there are so many videos of just like soothing meditation, those guided imageries. 10 out of 10 recommend. I use them way too much.
All right, sounds good. Well, it obviously worked, so.
Do you feel less stressed?
Yeah,
With
I'd
the
say I
tool?
feel less stress. Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
I
about
haven't
anybody
been.
else? So it helped Wyatt?
Yeah, it helps. I mean, we're in Idaho. There's not a lot of beaches here, so at least I can dream.
Well, there's lake beaches. They're just frozen over right now.
I mean, yeah, but I'm from Spokane, so Coeur d'Alene gets pretty cold.
All right. So the way the cohort really works is it works if you all get out here and start talking to us. And so we do the presentation part, which I'm going to stop recording.